Imagine, right now, in one instant, the money in your wallet, checking, or investment accounts could purchase only 1/10 or 1/100th of what it could yesterday. How would your life be affected? Could this even realistically happen? Well, who is in control of your money and how the US dollar works? Not you. Did you decide in 2008 to help bail out large failing banks? Probably not. But your government did. Did you notice how prices rose for gas and food after this? Our crisis was witnessed by the world, by our creditors, yet our government borrowed more money and the Federal Reserve printed more dollars. All of these events changed the value of each dollar you have. At any moment, another event could happen that changes the value of these dollars more dramatically. So how can you protect yourself? You may have been told to store wealth in real estate or gold and silver. These are good places to store wealth, but you cannot buy groceries or goods directly with these assets because they aren't currency. You can't transfer their value easily or efficiently for real-world transactions. There is a form of currency that does not deal in dollars, and that is actually inflation-proof. It is the banker's worst fear.
Why is gasoline so expensive?
Telling us which food brands are ready for the uptick in costs.
The United States has just lost its top-notch AAA credit rating.
18 people have been charged in what may be one of the nation's largest credit card fraud rings. What some are calling fool's gold, it is the virtual currency called
is a kind of holy grail of payments. We're asking whether or not this currency really has any longevity, let alone legitimacy.
How can I hedge against inflation and other government manipulation? One thing I did was to buy Bitcoin. What are they?
I don't really know that much about Bitcoin.
Bitcoin is a purely online currency with no intrinsic value.
It is digital currency, which you can then use to buy things online.
Bitcoin.
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 What is Bitcoin?
Bitcoin, first introduced in 2009, is a relatively new technology in today's ever-changing world. Bitcoin is a digital currency, an innovative tool that is revolutionizing people's daily lives, as did smartphones, eBay, YouTube, and even the internet itself.
I can communicate with people live anywhere in the world by typing on the keyboard.
You've got mail.
The Bitcoin network facilitates the instantaneous transfer of value across any distance over any borders, to any place on Earth. Specifically, it allows any person in any place with an internet connection to receive and transfer value. To send $8,000 from America to Australia, Western Union would charge you $336. In contrast, any value of Bitcoins can be transferred with a fee of no more than 2 cents at today's exchange rate. Besides being able to transfer wealth instantly, Bitcoin is highly valuable because in its specially designed software, the supply of currency units, also called Bitcoins, is increased at a steady rate. New Bitcoin creation will only cease in the year 2140 with a total of 21 million Bitcoins. As of September 2013, there exist in circulation over 11.5 million Bitcoins, over half the total supply that will eventually be mined. Mining Bitcoin is the process by which new Bitcoins come into existence. They are created in blocks, and currently 25 Bitcoins are mined per block. Blocks are generated about every 10 minutes as regulated by the software code and sent to the computer that mined them. The best miner is the one with the most computational power, but it is also based on luck who wins the reward. A rough estimate would put the total number of Bitcoin miners at 100,000. This mining process is more specifically known as hashing.
All right, Emmanuel, let's start off with your website.
Cloudhashing.com.
When did you get the idea to create a hosted mining cloud hashing service?
When my wife decided to throw all my computers from the attic. So I started off mining Bitcoin using computers. So I had a few computers sitting around and running permanently so the guests could not come around and spend time just because the room was super hot. They'll get a heat stroke. And at the same time, it was just costing a lot of money for electricity. So I invested in ASICs. Then upon my investment in ASICs, I had friends who were interested. So at that point I thought, they weren't computer literate, so I thought, let me manage it for them. So upon doing that, it kind of spiraled into a business. And, we launched Cloud Hashing in April this year. And we've been selling what you call Bitcoin mining contracts ever since.
Did it bother you that we don't know who created it?
I first heard about it in 2010. Well, I didn't think it was a great idea because I just couldn't see how it could take off into the mainstream. And lo and behold, 3 years later, the value just skyrocketed, and I thought, oh my goodness, I missed out on a golden opportunity at the advent of something great here. I think the very fact that I didn't know who created it kind of raised a lot of questions. I mean, but realistically, that didn't matter. The maths itself and the proof of work concept itself to super secure currency.
It may be hard to trust such a new, strange, and exciting system like Bitcoin. Some, mainly computer technology enthusiasts, already see Bitcoin as more secure than email, online banking, and your E-Trade account.
So what made you say, you know what, I'm going to trust Bitcoin?
Well, that's a great question. Do you use the internet?
I do.
Do you trust it?
I pretty much have to.
You trust the internet. You don't necessarily trust everybody on the internet.
No.
Right, but you trust the internet. You trust that you go in and type in on your browser and you get to Walmart.com. You trust that's Walmart or whatever.
Yeah.
And there are legitimate actors on the internet, right? Like Amazon.com. I'm sure you bought stuff there. Mm-hmm. Well, Bitcoin is very similar. It is computer code that's a protocol.
Like email, a person would not normally assume anyone in this case can see, delete, or otherwise access their email account without their permission and password. There is one exception in that your email provider could shut you down or even spy on you at the NSA's request.
Why should people start taking a serious look at it who want to get off the government's radar?
I think it's a very important thing. One thing that we don't really fully appreciate is the level of surveillance that we're under. And now all of your transactions are being databased, archived, stored, and they're going to be searchable forever. And you don't know who's going to be in power in 4 years or 8 years or 20 years. And you don't know what they're going to do with that information. And so why even have that information appear there in the first place? Bitcoin allows you to take control of that and to have it not even appear.
This brings us to the topic of centralization. Bitcoin is decentralized. This means there is no central authority that can stop any specific Bitcoin transaction, and the same goes for the Bitcoin system as a whole. No one can lock or freeze a Bitcoin wallet or address, unlike a bank account. No one can arbitrarily create more Bitcoins than the software program was designed to make. No one can change the software without the majority of the entire network of users accepting a change. Programmers of the Bitcoin software are thus limited in their scope of changes to what the market is driving.
Max Wright, he wrote a book called Bitcoin Revolution. A lot of people are fearful that the government's going to attack it.
With regards to resisting government violence, I think Bitcoin has a really, really unique, to me it's a unique currency in all of history. It's never happened before. So and the analogy that Bitcoin advocates use is with regards to Napster. We all know Napster was a great file sharing tool, but it was run out of a central server in a company. There was a CEO to harass, there was a company to harass, and the government can send in men with guns and force them to unplug the server. Service is over. Bitcoin, in the same way BitTorrent solved the problem for Napster, it was decentralized and there was no one to harass. There's no you have to put a policeman in every bedroom in every house in the country or the planet to bring down BitTorrent. So too with Bitcoin. There is no one to harass. There is no CEO. It is a distributed peer-to-peer network that authorizes and guarantees the sanctity of the network. And so for that reason, it is incredibly resilient to violence. And I find it very, very interesting that at a time when we're going to, my expectation is we're going to go through a currency crisis and currency wars like we've never seen before.
I'm here with Jim Rickards. He's the author of Currency Wars. I'll just throw it out there. Bitcoin, what are your thoughts?
One of my least favorite topics, because I'm very skeptical of Bitcoin, but I've actually read the technical papers. I've spoken to a lot of people about it. It is cool technology. It's good encryption, the blockchain method of validating, the fact that it's decentralized and dispersed. You can fire a drone missile at a Bitcoin server and it doesn't matter because there's another one over here that's got the blockchain and they can validate. So I understand all that. It's cool stuff and it does attract libertarians and it does attract technophiles.
Now that you know what Bitcoin is, you should recognize how digital currency is a threat to the current banking system and institutions. In 2008, bankers profited from the very financial crisis that they created. Imagine you had the opportunity to not participate in a government-monopolized currency system. Bitcoin can be your way out of the corruption. The banks will hate it, but they can't stop it. Bitcoin can solve a multitude of problems. Firstly, inflation. Our current money supply continually grows because it is based on debt and continual government overspending. The US money supply has actually multiplied over 10,000 times in the past 200 years. This explains why purchasing power has significantly lowered. why Coke in 1959 cost a nickel and is now about 20 times that. The supply of bitcoins has only increased at a specific rate that won't change. This means that it is inflation-proof. Bitcoin also prevents theft. If you hold cash, not only would you worry about someone stealing your wallet, but the government has been known to confiscate cash at airports and during police stops.
Had an encounter with the TSA, the Transportation Safety Administration, in which they not only wanted to know who he was, who did he work for, how did he get the money that he had on him, and what did he plan on doing with that money.
$4,700? Yes, sir. Why do you have all this money?
Back in 2012, Mishra's friends, Rajesh and Marina Derry, were driving her cash across country when Nebraska state troopers booked them for speeding. Officers then got permission to search the car. In the back, they found 2 bags filled with cash and arrested the Derrys, believing the money was ill-gotten.
You cannot steal bitcoins in a Bitcoin wallet without knowing someone's password. You can copy and store your wallet in an unlimited number of locations and access it from anywhere with internet access, just like email. With Bitcoin, it is much easier to move your money, as we noted earlier. It's also easier to keep your transaction private should you want to remain anonymous from your peers or even the government. Your name is not connected to your Bitcoin address unless you choose to through a third-party service that uses Bitcoin. The government would need to know and control the entire internet to track or stop Bitcoin payments. Lastly, a great benefit for Bitcoin is the ease of starting your own business. You can set up a Bitcoin address to receive money for products or services within seconds, versus trying to comply with all your country's regulations, creating a bank account, etc. You also don't have to worry about fraudulent payments because Bitcoin transactions are irreversible. Your business would not have to pay large fees to credit card companies either. A customer can simply use a cell phone app to send payments to you if your business has a storefront, like a bar or a restaurant. Bitcoin is already accepted on many online websites for products and services including freelance work, donations to organizations, pizza shops, auctions, electronics, web hosting, domain registration, file storage, gambling, music, clothing, graphic design, and even some massive retail outlets like bitcoinstore.com.
Alright, I'm going to go to the Bitcoin store, I'm going to purchase a laptop, and I want to show you guys just how easy this is to do. You can have a lot of items on here, but we're going to pick laptops because that's what we need. But you can see you have a lot of different things you can buy, digital cameras, desktop PC, webcams, all kinds of stuff you can also search for. But we're looking for a new laptop. And you can see this is just like going to any other store that would accept US dollars. We've got this notebook here, we can add to cart. Here's the cart, proceed to checkout. So just like if you went to Best Buy. You can register or you can just check out as a guest. I'm going to check out as a guest today. We simply input our information. Our next step is our shipping method. The payment method is going to be Bitcoin. Place order. Okay, so we would just scan this with our phone, or we could use view address to pay it. And once you do that, you input that into your Bitcoin wallet, and the transaction is complete. Today is September 22nd, so I guess we'll see how fast they ship it out. Wow, so it's only been 2 days. Free shipping. We ordered it on the 22nd of September, and we received it on the 24th. You've got all your accessories, brand new. Yeah, same price as Amazon. I didn't pay anything extra for it. It's perfect. That was easy. Let's see what else I can do with Bitcoin. All right, so I'm on bitmit.net and I'm going to sell my old TV. A lot of my friends and stuff were giving me crap, so I ended up getting this new TV. I've had this TV for, 10 years now. It's a 62-inch. Sweetheart, some Africans from Ghana want to buy our TV with Bitcoin.
Over 1,000 people attended the Bitcoin conference in San Jose, May 2013. The Bitcoin Forum has over 100,000 members discussing Bitcoin. Payment processor BitPay currently has thousands of merchants using their services to accept Bitcoin payments on their websites. As of September 2013, the value of Bitcoins created has reached $1.5 billion as determined by the free market. Bitcoin seems to be growing at a rapid rate, maybe even outpacing the government's ability to regulate it. When the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network of the Department of the U.S. Treasury announced that virtual currencies are subject to the same rules as other currencies, the price didn't crash. In fact, it went up from there, as if attempts to regulate Bitcoin don't matter.
This idea that somehow you're escaping government scrutiny or you're outside the government matrix or whatever. It's just not true. Mt. Gox was attacked by the government. Of course, the Silk Road, now arrests have been made. So the government's watching everything you do. So
there were a lot of exchange popping up, and they started getting hammered. And I mean, with all the laws and banks closing their accounts and stuff like that, and that made it difficult. But then in comes local Bitcoins. They let individuals advertise whether they want to buy or sell, and those individuals hook up with each other. And that's making it a lot easier. Buying Bitcoin is getting easier. Selling it, I guess, is getting easier too.
There's no reason in the world that a privately issued currency couldn't be issued and serve maybe even better, because it's totally beyond the temptation of politicians to start meddling with the rules. Yeah. It's beyond the reach of political temptation.
Now, picture a world where you are in control of your money, where you're free to spend any amount, small or large, anywhere in the world, and your identity is safe. Your money cannot be diluted by government creating it out of nothing and then giving it away to banks, special interests, towards wars, or in foreign aid. You can help stop selfish banking interests. You can shape your destiny. And we don't even have to end the current system. We just merely need to bypass it.